I think one of the pleasures of teaching theater and performance studies is that I have the opportunity to work with students who are majoring in the field as undergraduates, who are going to go into the field as professionals, as graduate students, but also to work with students who are interested in taking these classes because they're electives and because they care about theater, but they're really going to go on to be doctors and lawyers. But the nice thing about having that constituency in your classes is that most people are in there because they love the topic. And they want to study it because they've either done it themselves or they enjoy it or they're avid spectators. So I feel like in a theater and performance studies class, as opposed to, I've never taught any other subject, but I imagine that subjects that are more, that are requirements or that students have to take for one reason or another, there's a very different feel in those classrooms. But to sit around these tables with people who genuinely enjoy and love and are committed to the project of theater and performance just elevates the whole discourse as far as I'm concerned. One of the things that distinguishes our field is it's a field, obviously, that's embodied in terms of what it means to perform, or even the act of watching performance is very much embodied. So to be able to teach in an embodied way about a field that is itself embodied really just layers it all up in interesting ways, it seems to me. So although I am a teacher who loves sitting around a seminar table talking about ideas and not necessarily getting up and doing anything, there's also a way in which, especially when I co-teach with Stacey Wolf, for instance, at Princeton, we've done a lot of that. We use a lot of theater games in the classroom. We do a lot of vote with your feet. We do a lot of sculpture exercises. We do a lot of Boalian-influenced exercises to get students to think about the ideas and how they live in their bodies, as well as how they live on stage. And I've always advocated for the teaching of theater and performance as something that can extend outside of our content field into other courses. So I imagine that you could teach economics using the embodied strategies of performance pedagogy in ways that would really enliven that discussion as well. But one of the things I love about teaching, for better or for worse, it is a kind of bully pulpit. It's a place where I always feel, probably more than any other place, that I get to express my own commitments about theater and performance. I always feel myself flushing a little bit and my hands moving faster and faster as I describe my own commitments and my own passions and my own pleasures. And if nothing else, I hope that that models something for my students about how they can bring their own passions and commitments to the field in the diverse ways that all of them will do that. But I do think that the classroom there are so few places for us to sort of express our deep commitments to theater, to the project of theater as social change. We have so few public forums for advocating for the work of the arts in American culture that the classroom is a really important place, it seems to me, to do that. People don't tend to realize how vulnerable we are as teachers. I always feel in that moment after summer break, when you come back into the classroom, it's almost as though my skin feels a little thin, and that first day, everything just feels very porous. Because you do forget that when you're sitting in front of people, you want to be open to them, you want them to be open to you, and it does take it makes you vulnerable in all the important ways, which is something I'm very willing to do in the classroom. But at the same time, I feel very keenly the kind of energy it takes, the kind of willingness it takes to sort of go there with your students. And I wouldn't have it any other way, but I know that it's something that I have to sort of get myself up for. It is a performance in a way. There are so few forums in our daily lives as professors in colleges and universities, ironically, where we get a chance to talk about teaching. It's still this mystified activity, even though we get tenured and promoted and hired on the basis of how we teach. Once you're in these jobs, there's this curious silence about what actually happens in our classrooms, how we do it, what it means to do it, what our students think, aside from the stupid anonymous course evaluations at the end of every semester. But the thing I really really appreciate about ATHA and Women in Theater and the LGBT, all the focus groups who concentrate on pedagogy, is that this is where we come to talk about what we do in the classroom. And it's so important to have this forum to talk about the successes, to talk about the failures that inevitably all of us have, to talk about the strategies that we use in our classrooms. I just really appreciate ATHA's continuing attention to teaching how important it is and really what it means for the future of our field and the future of theater and performance.